like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's deaths and the demonstrations that keep going on? And is there a way to let multicultural consumers know that they are being heard and supported without looking opportunistic?
Yeah, I think it's all about the foundation. The great thing we've done at Cadillac is really set a foundation, and we have a strong history in the Black community, Black and Brown community. So I think that's always the biggest start. We had a true leg to stand on as it relates to the way that we commented. It was very authentic. We are internally and externally about supporting Black life, and it gave us an opportunity to really showcase a lot of the work that we're doing, Tanya, but also to lean in and just do more. We dedicated more dollars to how we're engaging with Black and Brown communities in 2020, but then also a strategic plan I just rolled out to our SLT, our senior leadership team, to talk about a lot of the things that we have coming. And so Regina is just the tip of the iceberg in reference to relationships that we'll have. The Oscars was an amazing moment with both Spike Lee and Regina King. And last year we had a phenomenal year in the African American space with influencers, with engagements. We did over 25 activations in my space personally, but then also our media team supported us in a lot of those efforts. So I think there's just so many opportunities that we've had to lean in the community. And now it's just the time where we genuinely support. We also listen. Many of the things that we're doing externally, we're supporting those internally, also in telling employee stories. Every African-American employee at Cadillac had the opportunity also to have a mentor who was an executive at our company. And so we're making a lot of really good strides. So I'm really proud.
Well, and I think you guys are authentic in your actions, and maybe not even, people don't even realize some of the stuff that you don't do. I know you delayed the launch of the Never Stop Arriving and the Regina King, as you know, announcing her as your new brand ambassador because of the news, what was in the news with Breonna Taylor's death, you know, out of respect for her family. So, I mean, that's the sort of reaction that maybe is subtle that people out in the street wouldn't know, but the community knows it, and it makes you come off more as being, you know, in tune with what's happening.
Yeah, so, and I think it's about serving the community. I mean, we obviously want to continue to sell a lot of cars and trucks, but I've always been sincere in my work with the brand. And the leadership team has really supported me in making sure that we do what's right. And when you do what's right, people want to continue to work with you. And that's why we've had a lot of success, you know, whether it be the metrics in media or sales. We've got a lot of success because we're genuine in the work that we're doing, who we want to support, why we support them. And that goes a long way. That goes a long way.
And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about Juneteenth. I know you guys made a conscious decision not to do anything with Juneteenth. And first, maybe explain what Juneteenth is for people who are watching who aren't familiar, and then why you decided, you know, what you guys decided.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a quick version. It was an opportunity, or the emancipation of slaves. There was a timing that was truly a delay for the people in Texas. And because of that delay, many people were actually free legally, but did not know that they were free. And so there's a celebration every June. This year, there was a lot of acknowledgement and awareness around it. And our teams at that time, our other brand teams, supported it in a way to have a moment of silence to acknowledge what happened in the death of George Floyd. But from a brand perspective, I really wanted to pause and just give people a moment at that time and just not post about it. A very authentic way to post and really support the Black community was that we had an African-American male, Hodge Fleming, that we posted him and his lovely daughter for Father's Day. That was one of the top 3 posts that we had on social. But instead of just saying we're going to make a statement or follow our other brands, Cadillac is at the tip of the spear of what we should do. We don't just speak to speak. We really want to have purpose and intention. You know, that's always my goal. We are bold, we are sophisticated. And so it was a time for us to just let people heal. And then Sunday was Father's Day, really a time to step up as a brand and show a Black man of color and really honor him and his family And again, the post, the metrics were amazing, but really it was about genuinely touching into what's happening in culture and finding the ways that the brand really fits and not feeling like every single event you have to say something. No, when there's time to be very meaningful and intentional, that's when we need to have our voice. So I was very proud of that, even though it was different from the other brands, it was the right thing to do. And the results, again, were great and very positive.
So he was kind of maybe not an influencer, but he was somebody that you guys amplified in your marketing. How do you find people like him and other partners and influencers for your brand, and how do you choose which organizations to engage with?
Yeah, so you mentioned it earlier. We have a long-standing relationship with Spike Lee, his agency out of New York, who is our multicultural agency of record. So they do a phenomenal job in finding influencers who are, one, right for the brand, two, right for our target audience, and three, I always say, I want to have a personal relationship to a certain extent to our influencers, so I know that they can sit in a number of rooms that we may ask them to sit in on behalf of the brand and be confident that they're going to exude all of the qualities and characteristics that are important to working with the brand, with such a long history as Cadillac. And so the agency of record, Spike Lee, helps us. Some of them are just people that I know that are doing amazing things in Metro Detroit. We wanted to really focus on in COVID, focus on home. And so Hodge, came to the top of my memory. We also had another project, Concrete Dreams, that we were working on him with. And so him and his daughter had already chalked on concrete kind of what their plans were for the summer. And so this was a natural extension of that. And it just felt so very authentic, but also it was highlighting, not just finding someone Black to highlight, but really highlighting someone that we already had a partnership and relationship with. And so we're leaning in on that relationship, and he's coming later this month. And then for the remainder of the year, he's working on a small business accelerator for us on behalf of the brand. And so we're excited to be leaning in and partnering with him. And so for me, it's about building multicultural communities and not just saying, I'm looking for that person to do this for me. Transaction doesn't build brand and doesn't really work unless you have a lot of spend, but relationship will work every single time. And we're looking at new influencers that are starting our small business accelerator and incubator here in Detroit. So we're looking to work with Melissa Butler from the Lip Bar. We're going to have the opportunity to work with other amazing Ellis Island Tea. We'll have the opportunity to work with her, and then they'll also work with us next year. So for me, it's about building community, long-standing partnership, and with that loyalty, that's really how we'll have a substantial share of growth with the brand.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we've got to talk about Regina King, your new brand ambassador. And I was debating whether we should show the spot before or after we talk. I'm thinking maybe we should show it first, and then we can talk about how you guys
Absolutely.
found her and why she's such a great fit for the brand. So I'm going to ask Ryan to go ahead and show the Regina King video.
We all have our own journey ahead of us, our own hopes and dreams. And along the way, we'll pass many milestones, each one more inspiring than the last. These are the moments that define you. These are the moments that drive you to achieve even more, to reach even higher, then do it all over again. So pause. Take a moment of reflection and celebrate every single one. Because success isn't just about where you want to get to. It's also about how you get there.
And cut on rehearsal.
I love how she so subtly demonstrates the hands-free driving, by fixing her collar. It's like, yeah, I don't have to touch the wheel. I can fix my collar. So
Super Cruise is amazing. Super Cruise is just amazing. I know you had an opportunity to use a feature. I did as well. So Regina, I mean, she's bold, she's sophisticated. Never stop arriving is our ethos, our mantra. You know, whether it's when she started at before 227 to her Oscar at 19 to the amazing product she's bringing. The movie about Muhammad Ali later this year. I mean, she just continues to go, and she has so many sides to her. So when we think about the Escalade, we had to pair Regina with the Escalade, that just continues to be more features. It's bigger, more leg room. The OLED screen is impeccable. The technology offering just the AKG sound system. I mean, it's and Super Cruise. I mean, Super Cruise just continues to lead the industry as an innovative technology that now we have lane change. So you just hit the signal as Super Cruise is engaged and you coast over, changes lane. So I think that continues to be at the forefront of our relationship with her. It's just that she continues to evolve, and so do we as a brand. And the 2021 Escalade is, such an exclamation point on that, and our journey as we continue to arrive. So yeah, really excited about that partnership.
So she was first featured in Make Your Way during the Oscars, and obviously that did really well. Can you share some of the results and why you think it was successful and what you learned?
Yeah, I think people really have a true connection to Regina. It was the first time in a long time that our spots really featured a lead African-American woman. The spot we had in 2019, there was a complimenting couple heading to, an Oscar-like evening, but this was the first time that we really leaned in the partnership at our Oscars moment with her. And so I think that garnered a lot of the support, conversation. I mean, was just overwhelmingly possible. And Regina, the way that she carries herself and her advocacy too, I think that piece also led to the extremely strong metrics. And we knew we really wanted to have a closer relationship. So some may call it a test and learn at the beginning of that process as we began a relationship with her, but we knew always that we wanted to further lean into a partnership and have a long-term commitment with her. She's the type of influencer that we want to continue to use, and her partnership is, just at the beginning stages, but we definitely know that that's the type of person that we want to continue to lean into just based on our brand and what she represents and brings. So that's the piece that, that connection to women, that connection to continuing to push forward, that there's always more. It's that extraordinary spirit that our vehicles embody as we think about now Escalade and now there's lyrics, so there continues to be more. That's what we also see in a person like her. So, makes for, there to be a perfect pairing and partnership.
You guys have a lot of interesting people that you've partnered with and are partnering with. Could we talk a little bit about Diddy and his 50th birthday and how Cadillac got involved with that?
Yeah, that was really exciting. I actually saw a video online where his mom surprised him with, a brand new Escalade for his birthday. So a local dealer was in partnership with them to surprise him with that. And he loved it. The video, went viral. Super exciting. After that, we knew there was going to be an opportunity that he would have a birthday party. It was our first time. We had him up for consideration for, a partnership, but we thought that was really the right moment to work with him. We had worked with Revolt Media in the past as a media partner. And so when the party came, we were just really looking for an opportunity to continue and lean into the relationship. That was my first time really working with the remote media team. And it was great. They were really about, how can we under promise and over deliver? And they absolutely did. They gave us, added content, a surprise sizzler video where the Escalade was parked outside and every single person who entered the party was able to see it. We also provided them with an XT6 to kind of take around the behind the scenes people. So the partnership was great. We ended up using our vehicles as shuttles for, everybody from Cardi B to to Regina was there, to, you know, all of the guests. And so I think it was a great opportunity to lean in. And as we think about where we're at in our media spend and buy, we're going to continue to lean into that partnership with the series that's coming out in the next 30 days, 30 to 45 days. And so I think it's really about finding the right media partners who have that share of voice, but then also the media companies coming and amplifying or providing some added value. That's always a great surprise and delight. So the Revolt family, we will continue to work with them this year and then also next year. But more importantly, it's very seamless and easy to work with them. They understand our brand, they understand what we're trying to do, and find unique opportunities that will elevate the brand in a way that is bold and is sophisticated. So yeah, that was a fantastic, activation last year.
Well, then, and lastly, we've got to talk about Spike Lee, because you guys did something unusual. I mean, he's been your ad guy, your ad agency person for a while, but then back in February, you actually let him get in front of the camera, which he's very comfortable doing, to help you unveil the Escalade in Hollywood. And we're actually going to take a quick look at that video from the unveiling. So Ryan, can you go ahead and show the Spike Lee video?
Whatever you do, fade in differently. Let the audience see themselves in a whole new frame. Cut away. So every turn, every corner, every scene moves the journey forward. Be willing to look in the mirror and see the future. Be unafraid to push the world in a new direction in a style like no other. Show enough with love, Spike, Cadillac, Escalade.
He is just the epitome of cool, right? So why was he a good fit, and what did he bring to the reveal that was special?
I mean, it's Spike Lee. He is an icon. And so when you think about, I must give credit to a lady named Ann Roberts. She, had the original vision. And I remember when we sat together, it was my first time actually seeing the Escalade. And she said, from a PR perspective, we had this idea. I said, Spike Lee is the perfect director. The short film, a lady on her team, that was kind of her idea. But really, the short film was the first time we ever revealed a vehicle in that fashion. It was about 2.5 minutes, highlighted all the key features in LA. I mean, just a moment for the brand to really showcase all of the new features of the vehicle, but with an iconic director and such a purposeful eye. And he's, he continues to evolve, putting out a film like right at the beginning of COVID, just in talking about COVID. And so I think we are always looking for these innovators. We are always looking for these people who, continue to push the limits, push the boundaries, be bold, have an authentic voice, and we're also open to people who truly, embody that African-American spirit, and Spike is a person who does that. And so when we think about the iconic level of, the new Escalade, 20 years, and we think about Spike Lee and all that he brings, as a film and television icon, it was, again, the perfect pairing and really an opportunity for him to continue to lean in on the relationship. And his first time actually, being featured in a commercial and shooting for the brand. And so he has a fantastic team, Natasha and Alex, that we worked with on the account team. And then really the writer, all of the words that you heard in the long form and short form, his team is responsible for, the entire reveal. So, really exciting as far as the creative content and vision, how the car was lit and just to bring it all to life. Yeah, just a great one.
I love the long video. We didn't want to take away from our interview time by showing the long video, but so it's nice that you were able to do the cut down, and that has likes too. So obviously not everyone can have a party with Diddy or hire Spike Lee. Are there learnings for other brands who maybe don't have quite the budget of Cadillac that they can take away from this and use, to be more effective?
Yeah, Tanya, and I think that's most of the times brands feel like we can't do these big things, or even as I've had a lot of these conversations around COVID and influencers, Do we speak about Black lives? What's the right way? Do we make a statement? It really is finding, one, understanding your brand's authentic voice, but then two, find people that are embodying and owning whatever their space is and really support that. And so it's like, if you can't put on your own events, then go to someone's event and really be a part of celebrating with them. And so as a brand in the multicultural space, yes, we are in a place to, leverage many of the images and likeness of big names influencers, but we also are always working with Hodge Fleming is an example of emerging talent that doesn't have a large following, but he does have an intentional voice, and that voice is important to the brand. And he did amplify his Father's Day post in such an authentic way that he brought the community in. And so there's a lot of ways to really be thoughtful and useful and have reach. And so really it's about finding the right people who can help you do that. And so many micro-influencers, could be the right term, but there are people who have followings of, somewhere between 7 and 50,000 that you can definitely leverage them for a more nominal or reasonable amount of money. It's just about, for me, when I'm looking for someone to leverage, I'm wondering, are they multifaceted? Are they a small business owner and a person of color, or LGBTQ and maybe Hispanic? And so when you're looking for cost-effective ways to, manage your budgets accordingly, the thought is possibly to look at people who do a number of things or can fit into a number of categories that maybe the brand needs to fill. And if you do that, then you're also able to leverage your spend and reach and, make waves in a really thoughtful way.
Well, it looks like, unfortunately, we're starting to get near the end of our time. So before I ask my last question, I just want to remind the audience that if you have any questions for Alexis, to click on the raise the hand icon at the bottom of your screen, and someone will send you an unmute request. And then just go ahead and accept that, and then you can ask Alexis your question when you're being called on. So the last thing I wanted to ask you is why do you think it's important to be thoughtful? It wouldn't be authentic to just redo the Regina King spot using somebody from from the Hispanic culture to do that in hopes of connecting with that audience. It really goes beyond just putting in talent, right?
Yeah, that's a big, I don't want to say pet peeve for me, but you're not saving yourself money by leveraging a voice, a talent, a movement, a conversation that's meant for one audience and just putting another talent in. And the great example is on Escalade. The spot is amazing with Regina King. But when we thought about the Hispanic community, we are shooting a spot specifically made and created for a Hispanic audience. The creative director, the talent, the cast, the crew, the production company, all of them are in the Hispanic community. And so that is going to add so much more value to my spot. And if you think about it, you have a larger number of people who are amplifying that shared voice, who are talking about that spot because they're excited to have been part of something that's Cadillac. And so that's how you build trust, you build community. The young lady who's going to be in the spot, she has, over 50 million followers. If we didn't do this additional spot, we wouldn't have even leveraged the talent as amazing as her. The director is, Jesse is fantastic. You're going to hear a lot more about him in the weeks to come, but it's very thoughtful. And the thing is that I'm a person connecting to people. We need people to buy our cars. And so you can't shortcut relationship with people, especially at a time like this during COVID. People need to connect. We want to be heard, seen, and felt. And so in that genuine way, our advertisements for the Hispanic community will definitely do that. I can't wait for the spot. End of the first week of November, it will be out. So in our Hispanic media outlets. Yeah.
Awesome. So people need to stay tuned. That's going to be the next new work we're going to see from you guys.
Please stay tuned.
Excellent. Well, let me turn it over to, I think Steve is asking questions of people, or he's offering up the questions.
And if and we have time for more, if any of you want to, please again click the hand raise icon, and we'll get to you. Alexis, how about which social channels are you leaning into most and getting the most impact from, and how are you exploring new ones like TikTok? And what presence do you have, say, in TikTok?
Yeah, so great question. So we're very much so leaning into, if we think about our platforms, primarily Instagram is where we lean in really, really heavy. We find the engagement is amazing. The aesthetic is right for the brand. Obviously Twitter as well. So those tend to be our, primary places that right now we have a lot of focus. And tend to be right. But again, our brand is always at an evolution point, and we continue to adjust as needed and based on, the metrics that we get and what have you.
What metrics do you pay closest attention to in social? What do you gauge as the most important kind of impact?
Obviously, reach is important. It depends on what we're doing. Also, if we are posting on our page or we're using an influencer and posting on their page, and then obviously doing paid behind that. And then in some cases, we just post on influencers' pages. So, it runs a gamut of, different options based on what we're trying to do tactically, what we're trying to achieve.
And you have obviously Cadillac has a long history in diverse communities. It has an authenticity, it has a right to be there and to be heard. There are a lot of other brands that are in a position now, especially even within GM, for instance, that don't have that history. How do you advise them about how to build that relationship rather than simply, throwing, shallow, change the cast on your ads, for instance, but actually build a relationship so that they have a certain authenticity in talking to a wider range of communities?
Yes, Steve, that's a great question. I think the thing is start. So there's a temptation to say that I cannot achieve anything, or we haven't been doing anything, so you don't respond, you don't do anything. So I think the thing is start in your authentic space where Cadillac is starting versus where Lay's potato chip starts versus P&G versus XYZ. They're all going to be different places, but that doesn't mean we can't make a thoughtful contribution to disenfranchised communities. And so there's going to be some brands who, maybe the best thing is to say that we haven't done anything, but we're going to begin again. And so I think every single brand has to do the homework and the research to be authentic to who they are. And it's never too late to start would be, my thoughts, Steve.
Thanks very much, Alexis. And thank you, Tanya.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.